What's your name?
Ma'am, I'm here the way. And I'm Mittali.
Very difficult.
Ma'am, I'm here the way.
Yeah.
And I'm Mittali
Metyal.
Sethi.
What's the meaning of your names?
Ma'am, my meaning is pure and true. My meaning is heart, ma'am.
Heart.
Yes, ma'am.
Which plant is this?
Ma'am, it's a mango plant, ma'am. There will be juicy mangoes.
Thanks. I don't have a house right now. I'm staying in the guest house, but I'll nurture it for very long. Sit.
Well, we would like to introduce our collaboration with British Council. Ma'am, we are working under IDS activities. IDS stands for International Dimension Schools, and IDS is under British Council. Ma'am, we have our school, Chanda Public School, has already been awarded with British Council Award 3 years back, and we are still working under this title. And ma'am, our activity topic is women empowerment, and our co-activity is to interview empowered women just like you. Now I would like to hand over to Hiya. So ma'am, I'm going to be telling you about EduFest. As ma'am said, it is a 8-day bagless education, ma'am. There are 150 different kind of activities. There are co-curricular as well as educational activities. In educational activities, we have PPT presentation, extemporaries, quizzes, and different types of other activities. And ma'am, in co-curricular activities, we have dance competitions, we have face art, we have clay modeling, singing, ekpatri abhinay, and more different activities like that. Ma'am, on the last day, we have a valedictory function. On that day, there are 2 groups, the senior group and the junior group. Ma'am, there are different dance competitions held at that day. That day, we perform group dances. There are 4 houses, and 4 houses have to perform group dances, and the best house wins, ma'am. There is the student of the year. The student who gets most of the prizes is known as the student of the year. Ma'am, can we start with the interview? Good morning, everyone. I'm Hiyadave. And I am Nakya Lakarsha. We are from Chanda Public School, Chandrapur, India. Today, we have got this wonderful opportunity to interview the epitome of empowered women, who has studied in Swami Santdas Public School, who has been a dentist and has also taught in dental school, who is an IS officer and now is the CEO of Jilla Parishad Chandrapur. She is Dr. Mittali Sethi, ma'am. Firstly, I wholeheartedly welcome you, ma'am. Ma'am, in our school, we get different opportunities as CSML and other activities. So, with regard, ma'am, we have got this opportunity to interview you. So, ma'am, in your school life, what were the different types of activities you did, and how did it impact on your present career?
My school life was extremely boring. I studied in St. Joseph Convent for until 10th, and then I was in Swami Sandas for 2 years. I actually do not remember doing any extracurricular activity until 10th. I used to be a very shy student. I can't believe these girls are talking so much. I did not play any sport. I was not part of any reading or extempore. I think it was only in 11th that I had this beautiful English teacher in my school, and she just loved me. I don't know for what joy or for what reason. She said, "You write so beautifully," and I used to write these essays, and even for the same thing that me and some other student had written, she would give me more marks. And she actually took me out of my shell, and she said that, you have to go speak publicly. And I was scared to death, my God. I mean, I went to this assembly and she said that, you have to conduct the assembly today. And I said, not at all. I'm not going to do this. She said, no, you have to do it. And she was this fierce Punjabi woman, And so I went and I did that. She took me to these paper reading competitions and extemporaries, and I failed miserably. I mean, there were times when I would just come in वो एक complimentary prize रहता है ना, like that used to be ये. But then I had all these people coming up and telling me that, you did well. It was nice that, you came and spoke up. And I still remember her, she's still there in Jalandhar. I sometimes call her. And after that, I stood first in 11th. Then I stood first in 12th. And I think that was my place where I kind of, thought that maybe I have a place in this world, that I can go out and start thinking about what I really want to do instead of, because I think schools sometimes can become very restrictive also. You have all these competitions coming up, so everybody wants you to fit in a mold. If you want to do something that people don't want you to do, then what do you do? And for women especially, I feel the mold is a little narrower, a little restrictive, because the moment you try to go out of it, family, friends, school, societies, everybody is like, don't do this. It's too soon. The level is too soon for women in general also. And I did feel that. So sometimes it took a bit of a fight also. But yeah, so it was in 11th and 12th that all of this started. But I don't think I ever did any other extracurricular activities. It's just something that I've learned after my schooling. So you guys are very lucky.
Wow, ma'am, that's wonderful. Ma'am, at what stage of your life did you decide that you wanted to work in administrative fields?
Very late. I actually became a dentist. I did my post-graduation, and then I was working in a hospital when I happened to go to Gadchiroli, which is 2 hours from here. Dr. Abhay Bang is working there, and it's a very serendipitous moment where I was just searching for something on Google, and then I saw that there's this youth camp, and I thought, why not? I was just feeling that what I was doing in life was nice, but it was not something that I really, really wanted to do. So there's that heart thing, where you feel that this is what I really want to do. And it was a huge leap of faith because I was in a job and I was earning. But then I went to Gadchiroli after a lot of effort. I went there, I stayed there for 10 days. And it was quite an eye-opening 10 days for me because I traveled on the field. I was a part of the mobile medical unit. It's the first time when I was actually seeing villages, talking to people. It's amazing. I came back and I was like, this is what I want to do. And there were multiple ways of doing it. Of course, I could have opened an NGO. I could have, I actually prepared for journalism for a while. Then I was actually in a room one day where somebody was preparing for IAS, and I said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm preparing for IAS. And I said, IAS kya hota hai? Because I didn't know the full form of IAS. And he said, there's an exam by UPSC. And I said, UPSC kya hota hai? So he told me all of that. And then I thought that, why not? Let me just start studying. So I started, and very difficult initially. I tell this to a lot of people. It used to take me 8 hours to read a newspaper, like a single newspaper. So that was where I was at. And then, 3 years down the line, I cleared the exam in my 3rd attempt.
That is inspirational. Ma'am, as we all have some strengths and weaknesses, could you please share some of your strengths and how did you overcome your weaknesses?
I think, when we speak about strength, weakness, it's a very temporal thing also. At one point of time in your life, you're probably strong in some area. And you must have seen it, right? When you're growing up, things that you felt were your strength could also be your weaknesses at certain points in time. So it's a very flexible thing. And I think I've never felt the need to restrict myself with thinking what is my strength and weakness. For example, when I was preparing for UPSC, a lot of people used to say I was preparing with a job. So I used to work from 8 to 4, and then that's the time I had for, preparation. And a lot of people used to say that, your weakness is that you're doing it with a job, you should probably leave the job and all that. I think, in retrospect, in hindsight, when I see where I am today, I just feel that it was such a huge strength for me to have my job with me, because I had colleagues who were really, emotionally there for me. I had an amazing opportunity to kind of interconnect things and see where my job is, where administration is, what's poor and what's rich. And for me to establish those interconnections, I believe it was a huge strength. So I mean, if you talk about personal strengths and weaknesses, I would definitely say that, one of my strengths, and it's not something that I have it inherently, it's just something that I've learned, from a lot of people that I look around, from people I admire. Um, and I've learned that it's so important to stand up for yourself sometimes. I mean, there is just so many times where people want to tell you what you should do in a particular situation, and beta, this is what you should do, beta, this is what you should do. And I just feel that, sometimes you have an intuitive gut feeling, and if you fall, you face the consequences, and you say that, this is my life, and I'm ready to face whatever consequences come in my way. And sometimes, you go to the edge and you don't fall, you just fly. So it's amazing what a little bit of stubbornness, good stubbornness, can do for you. And again, I think if I have to tell you weakness, I just feel that, sometimes I'm very impatient, I get angry, and that's very true for my personal life also. I mean, sometimes even with work, I just don't see what time is it. I just continuously am like, ye bhi karna hai, ye bhi karna hai. I have to do too much in a very little time. So I think I'm cultivating a bit of patience, a bit of what we say in Hindi, ठहराव, a little bit of patience. So I'm hoping to get better.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, to be in this position, you must have faced many hurdles. Could you please share that? How did you keep yourself motivated to achieve your goal?
I think it's not a one woman journey. For me, to come to where I am, it's taken an army of people. I mean, I had, when I was working in Pondicherry, I had such amazing women around me, who would, tell me that whatever stereotype the world has fed into you is just not true. So you do what you want to do. And they used to say, whatever you need from us. I mean, I had this beautiful friend called Malti, and she had no interest in my exam, she was just my colleague. But even then, every afternoon she would sit with me, she would study art and culture with me, she would ask me questions. She was a maths student. So she was like, "Main puchti hu." And then, she used to take my test, and then there was Shaino ma'am, and there was Sajju ma'am, and everybody was just so invested in what I was doing. So I think it's always your center of purpose and other people's center of purpose. And when you become other people's center of purpose, it really pushes you forward. And it's so important to, be a nice person. I always tell this to people, when you're propelled into competitions and you're told that, you can become student of the year and all of that, it's sometimes better to be a good person rather than being the student of the year. That's just something that I've learned, distilled in life now, that whatever motivation you have to face your hurdles, number one, it's so important to kind of, not hole up into yourself. Find people who share that energy with you. Find people, and it's a lot of times it's not your own family. It might be your friends, it might be your teachers, it might be random people you meet, I mean, we are meeting today and we might become friends. So you might reach out to me someday, I might say something that might really help you. So one of the things that really helps with hurdles is to understand that you don't have to be a hero alone. It's always a teamwork. It's always a lot of people. We reach out to people, we help them, and they help us. And for me, there were a lot of hurdles. I mean, there were a lot of people at one point of time who were telling me that this is not possible. You cannot do this. And I failed. I mean, I failed for 2 years where I did not even clear the first part of the exam. So at one point of time, even I felt that, this is just not possible. And what am I doing with my life? And that's a feeling a lot of people have when they're giving competitive exams, when they're doing a lot of things, when they're stuck in jobs. And I think at that point of time, to just believe that I am here to enjoy the process, and the process is my prize, not the end result. And the process will take you somewhere. If not there, then the process will take that course, and you will land up somewhere where you might not have wanted to be, but which is an absolutely beautiful place, and you will enjoy it. So thoda sa na, I feel what really helps me sometimes, it's a very funny thing, but what I tell myself sometimes is that, all of us are going to die, right? And we are nothing but a speck of dot in this entire universe. So you don't have to worry about every little thing that is going on around you, but you must worry about things when you're doing something for somebody else, because for them you mean the world. So that I feel is very important.
Ma'am, as you were married and then you decided that you wanted to be an IS officer, so what sacrifices did you had to make to achieve this success today?
So this is another thing, I mean, marriage is considered as a weakness, that, you're married and therefore you have to sacrifice. I don't think I sacrifice anything. I mean, I have a wonderful husband, and I don't think we ever debated that I should sacrifice because I'm the woman. It was just like, we are two people living under a roof, and therefore I want to do this. And my husband is a radiologist, but he wanted to do music. So I kind of got into his head, and he left his job and he went to A.R. Rahman Academy to study music, and I said, I'm going to do IS. So we both decided that, these were things we wanted to do from childhood, couldn't do, and marriage should not stop us from doing what we are doing. Because I really believe that, with marriages, with relationships, no matter what kind of romantic relationship you have with somebody, the fundamental of everything we are doing is friendship. Whether it's mother and daughter, whether it's father and daughter, whether it's husband and wife, the foundation of a good relationship, a teacher and a student, is friendship. If you can't be friends, then you can't be anything else. So even my in-laws, I mean, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law were my father-in-law always said that, I'm just so proud that you're doing this. I don't care whether you clear the exam or not, but if this is what you want to do, and if you do, I would be really proud. But I'm just happy that you're studying, and that's nice. So I mean, I had all the support because of marriage, not in spite of marriage. I had all the support because of marriage, and there were, I don't think, I mean, all the sacrifices have been made by my husband, because he has to. I sometimes am so much in awe of how sorted and how patient he is, because he has to go everywhere I go now. I mean, I have a job that's transferable and I have to handle so much pressure. So he handles me and he handles himself, and we have a cute little dog. She's 8 months. He's there with her now. So he takes care of the house sometimes. And I think that's what has helped me, an equal division of responsibilities, somebody who does not think in gender norms, because I don't think in gender norms. I don't think I'm the abla or lady that, just who's the victim of anything. I'm not.
Wow, ma'am, that's really wonderful and that's really true.
Ma'am, we know that personality plays an important role in one's personal and professional life. Could you please guide our friends that how can they develop their personality to achieve their goals?
I don't know. I mean, personality is not a static concept, you evolve over time. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad. I think one thing that I really, people say that, this is a good personality and this is a bad personality. That's just untrue. I think people need to be truer to themselves, more true to who they are. You don't have to impress anybody at any point of time. It's so important to be happy yourself rather than keep the entire world happy, and say that, if I'm feeling this way, I mean, look at my hair, for example. For me, I always say that my life journey has been proving to the world that, this is who I am, and this is who you will accept me to be. So I had extremely curly hair, which I still have. And I still remember in childhood, there always used to be like, there's something wrong with my hair. I had that feeling, constant feeling, because people would stick pens in my head, like in my school, and they used to call me Maggie hair and things like that. So in 2011 or somewhere, I got my hair straightened. And I did that for I don't know, 3 times, 4 times. And it's after one point, I was like, this is not what I want to do. I love my hair. I mean, I love my hair the way they are. And then, I had this entire journey of my hair. There's a movie on Netflix which is on a female's hair, and I really identify with it because, she goes bald. And she says that, I don't like my hair. And then, there's a journey of those hair growing back, and it's a very small thing, but it's how you discover yourself. And you say that, this is who I am, and incrementally, day by day, I know a little more about myself. And nobody, I'm telling you, because, now I work with journalists, and I got published an article yesterday, and I speak with a lot of people now that the platform is quite large. And I've realized what is the kind of personality that people like in the world. The kind of personality people like is when you're authentic to yourself. When you're pretending, the world is not stupid. Everybody realizes that, you're not being you. You're just trying to, speak a certain way. You're trying to put in an accent to how you're talking. You're trying to, flaunt English and things like that. And I have realized over a period of time that my only way of finding authentic personalities is, number one, to become one. Until and unless I don't have the courage, and it's, again, I say courage because it's not hard work. It's the courage to kind of get up and say that, I don't care anymore. This is what I am. And once you do that, I think I found so many friends. I found such amazing families, friends who I've connected with. It has helped me have a career which is very, very different from a conventional career path. So I meet people. I do a lot of music, for example. So I connect with a lot of, I am an IAS officer, but that does not mean that, I should only sit in office and sign files and all that. I go back home and I do music. Have I answered your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, but your hair looks really pretty.
Thank you. I was rooting for that compliment.
Ma'am, we are getting to learn a lot from you. Being in this position, you must have getting compliments and all from good persons and bad persons. So could you please tell us about your whole journey and some bad experiences, good experiences?
Oh, I've had a lot of bad experiences. Good experience to bahut hai yaar. I mean, since, we work on the field, the best experiences are where, you implement something and you actually get to see how things are happening on the field. It's like, when you're doing an experiment in the laboratory, you actually put a reagent in chemistry, you do these experiments, right? You put a green thing and then it turns into pink. On the field, of course, it's not that regulated. You're doing something and there are a lot of confounding factors, but then you're sitting in a room signing a file, or you're sitting in the room doing some changes, but then you can go out there on the field and actually see how it's impacting on people's lives. So, for example, in the recent months, I've worked a lot with vaccines. So I was posted in a tribal region in Maharashtra. It's called Melghat. I don't know if you've heard it. Amravati district mein, there's an area called Melghat, which is largely tribal, predominantly tribal. We have Korku tribals. And it was so bad initially because when we went to kind of give them the vaccine, they would say, humko nahi lena hai. Like, and we border Madhya Pradesh. There's a lot of rumors going on ki vaccine lene se mar jate hain and things like that. So they're like, when we used to go, it's literally happened that we would go in a village to give vaccines and people would shut their door, run away in the khet, like agricultural fields, they'll just run off. And we would be just standing there and be like, zero vaccinations, We've had those days where we had zero vaccinations. And then I was the SDM. So one day I was like, chalo main jati hu, because I used to tell my medical officers, tum baat nahi karte theek se, and you're not doing things properly. So they were like, aap aa jao. Like, okay. So I went and I got so much scolding from people, because I used to go stand in front of the house and people were like, kyun le? Nah, we don't want to take. And then like, we've not taken an injection in the past 20 years. Why should we take the injection now? And I had no answer. I used to say, nahi bhai, there's COVID and, something can happen. And then, no, we are feeling perfectly healthy. We don't want to take it. What am I supposed to say? So it was such a bad period of time where we were struggling to do 50 injections a day, in 2 blocks. And then this is a 2.5 lakh population I'm talking about. So, and gradually, you know, we started doing IEC. We built a Korku serial, and there's an article in Indian Express of mine that has come yesterday. So we did a lot of IEC. Then we started, you know, strategizing and understanding the psychology of what is happening. So we would, you know, start talking to the sarpanches, and we would like find 10 people who would actually take the vaccine. And then instead of doing it in closed rooms, we started doing our vaccination camps in open spaces where gaon ke panch used to sit. And wahan pe, you know, if even when one person is taking a vaccine, 70 people are watching. So in fact, and people are so different, you know. I went to this village once, and there's this kaka who was like, I'm 72 years old. I want to live for 4 more years. And he said, you will kill me with this vaccine in 2 days, but I want to live for 4 more years. So I told him, Kaka, I'll give you vaccine and you will live for 28 more years. You'll turn 100. And he said, no, will you take responsibility if something happens to me? Oh, I can't take responsibility. So I said, I can't take this. And he said, no, I'll not take it. And I had to spend like, I don't know, 15 to 20 minutes convincing him कि you know, you are the most vulnerable if COVID happens to you. And there's a lot of alcoholism also in tribal communities because they have their own mahua and all that. So I don't know. And he said, मैं नहीं लूंगा, and he said तू मुझे मार देगी and things like that. And I took a picture with him. I was trying to convince him. नहीं. His wife comes from the house. She came with her Aadhaar card. She comes and stands in front of me and she's like, मैं इससे दुखी हो चुकी हूँ. And she said कि मैं जा रही हूँ वैक्सीन लेने के लिए, तेरे को आने तो आ. And she went and took her vaccine without any fuss, came back with her Aadhaar card and she's like, मैंने तो ले ली. And वो काका ने, I think he hasn't taken a vaccine until today. But you know, we did such a great IEC campaign. All my medical officers, my tehsildars, my BDOs put in so much hard work. And we did 800, you know, before, like a week before I left. We did 800 in a day. And I couldn't believe it that, you know, we've come to this point where we've engaged so much with people and we've tried to understand who they are. Why are they thinking the way they're thinking, addressing what they're saying, addressing their questions. It was such an amazing experience, you know, and I miss Melghat so much sometimes. People always say that going to Melghat is a bad experience. And that's something that you would hear because it's tribal, it's not a city. But I think going to Melghat has been one of the best experiences I've ever had.